Continuing on with the last podcast, picking up from that, moving or copying a cell or range um, within the Excel spreadsheet, fairly easy. You select the range you want, move it, copy it. By pressing and holding the Control key, you can drag the selection to the new location. So let me show you that with Excel real quick here. So we'll say I want to move or copy this entire row here. Once I select it with my mouse, I can press the Control key and drag it down to where I'm wanting it to go. Then also I can copy this as well. And say move it here to paste it. There we go. Control C, I'll move it back out this way. There we go. Hit the escape key to deselect. So again, you can just select whatever you're wanting to move with your mouse. The Control key allows you to move that. You'll notice when I hit the Control key, it doesn't move the selection. Once you select a row and you click anywhere else, it'll deselect that entire row. So by selecting it, hitting the Control key, you're allowed to move it to other areas on the spreadsheet. So you can select a range as I did on mine. Once you select that range, you can then move them with the Control key. It will shift the other rows around it or other cells around it. When you're selecting or inserting and deleting a cell range, again, you select the range that you want to insert or delete, and in the Cells Group or Home tab, you click the Insert button or the Delete button. It'll allow you to delete those. So if I go back to this spreadsheet here and say I wanted to delete these last 6, 7, and 8 rows, I can go up here and delete these. If I just hit the Delete button, it'll delete all of them. Do it again, leaving row 7 here. So again, selecting. You can also hit the drop down and actually what you want to delete. By default, it's going to delete those cells, which is a top range here. Formulas we talked a little bit about, but I wanted to continue this. It's just an expression within Excel, and there's built-in formulas. The way I recommend doing is manual input of formulas while you're learning anyway. And the most common is going to be arithmetic, summing, multiplying, dividing, and the order of precedence is basically just a set of predefined rules to determine the sequence in which the operators are applied in the calculation. Here's a screenshot of the order of precedence. You've got addition, then subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponentiation. And the addition, adding multiple cells together, subtraction, subtracting cells. Like for instance, it gives an example here of B2 from the value on C9. Multiplication, you can do multiplication of cells. Division, division of cells. And then the exponentation is raises the value of a cell to the third power. In this example here, by putting the exponentation symbol 3. just remember on the references, or when you're doing a formula, that you take, and I'll try to mark it here, the equal symbol is what you have to remember to put in first in the formula. Equal symbol, then the actual formula. So here we have equal symbol here, A1 plus B1 equal times C1. Order of precedence here is going to be, the multiplication is always going to be before the addition. The next one, A1 plus B1 times C1, because A1 and B1 is in parentheses, A1 is going to be executed first, multiplication second. Next one, we have division. It's going to be done before subtraction. This one here, the subtraction is going to be done before division because of the parentheses. This one here, two operators on the same precedence level. The leftmost operator will be evaluated first, so in this instance it's going to be division. And then expression inside of parentheses again is always going to be executed before those outside. So if you want to force an expression regardless of the order of precedence that it's in mathematically, use parentheses. So when you go into a formula, you're going to click the cell that you want the formula to be applied to, type in the equal symbol, and then whatever expression, and then press the enter key or tab key to complete the formula. So an example here, you have equals F6 times G6, and it's in the G cell when they're doing this. It'll give the value or the multiplication value of those two cells in the H6 cell. So here it starts, click your mouse here in the G6, type in equal F6 times G6, hit the enter key, and the value is going to come up. So on the example on our spreadsheet here, and one of the things you'll note on mine here, I have pound symbols in here, and that just means that the width of this column is not wide enough, so if I just double click, it'll fix it. Same here on the H column. So I've already got a reference here on this one, but I'm going to delete this reference to manually put in a reference. So here on H8, I want F8 times G8 to be in this here as a formula. So I'm going to go ahead and type in E equals on H8 and F23, and you'll notice as I type in F23, then G23, hit enter. I put 23, it should be F8, sorry. Let's do that again. Delete. F8. You'll notice when I typed in F8, it highlighted the F8 cell times G8. Now it highlights the G8 cell, hit enter, and there's my final value. And here it is also in the formula. So it's showing up the value in the cell formula in the formula bar. So with formulas, you can adjust the cell reference to reflect the new location if you're moving it. You can, if it's within the same column, you can basically click on the black box, a drag box, and drag it down or up accordingly to copy that formula. And it'll copy it according to the same logic you had in the original one. This little drop down here should say that we copied the cells, and what we actually copied was not the content of the number, but the content of the formula. And that saves a little time. So a function is a named operation that returns a value. For example, adding the values of a range A1 through A10. You could do it individually, A1 plus A2 all the way through A10, or easier way, equals sum A1 colon A10 and parentheses. Entering a function, if you have a column that has numbers in it, as this example here, you can just take your mouse, put it in the where you want the total to be, click on it, hit the sum symbol, and it will sum the rows above within that column. The auto sum quickly inserts the Excel function. It summarizes all the values in that column or row. You can sum the values of a column or row, average a value in a column or row, do a total count of numeric values in a column or row, select what's called the minimal value in a column or row, or maximum value. So here we have an example of a sum into a cell reference for a column called charge. Next is inserting a delete worksheet. To insert a worksheet in a workbook, because remember, when you open up Excel, you have a workbook with 3 default worksheets in them, and the tabs are below. You right click on the tab, the sheet tab, click insert. On the shortcut menu, select a sheet type and then click OK. You can also delete a worksheet in 2 ways. Right click on the tab itself, click delete on the shortcut menu, or you could click the delete button arrow in the cells group on the home tab and delete the sheet. To rename a worksheet, you double click again on the tab, type in whatever new name. Sheet names cannot exceed 31 characters in length, including blank spaces, and the width of the tab sheet adjusts to the length of the name that you've entered in. And then to move worksheets, you click on the tab and then drag it to where you need it to be. To copy a worksheet, you can press the Control key as you drag it and it will copy it in the workbook. So let's go to the spreadsheet. I have one tab in here called Customer. I'm going to click on this here at the bottom to the right where it says Insert a Worksheet, or I could do Shift F11. I'm going to double click and do another tab I'm going to call Sales. And then maybe one more, Budget. Now if I wanted to move these around, maybe a budget on the front end, then Customer, then Sales. Could do it that way. And I'll just go ahead and enter in some text here real quick. I'll put that as a label, Budget Sales. And here we could actually insert possibly a chart of these numbers here of DVDs that were sold. And I'll just put in here for a placeholder. I'll just put chart in here for now. So once you get in, now that you know how to enter, move tabs, rename tabs, delete tabs, you can go in and edit your work. You can edit your work by double clicking on the cell and beginning to type in your work. Also, selecting the cell and pressing the F2 key, selecting the cell and clicking anywhere within the formula bar. So once you go in to edit the contents of a cell, there's many ways to do that. You notice in the slide here, when you are editing a cell, it will say the word edit in the bottom left of the Excel worksheet. So as I'm typing here, now you'll notice here at the bottom it says edit. If I get away from it, it says ready. It's in ready mode, double click, edit mode. Okay. Finding and replacing, powerful tool within all of Office. allows you to look for a certain word or number and replace it. You can replace it, limit it by a worksheet that you're on or an entire workbook. So if I go to my example here on customer and I want to look for this date here, September 30th, 2011, I can come up here and look for the Find menu here on the right of the Home tab. And I'm going to go into the options. I'm going to, within sheet that I'm currently on, and I'm going to type in 9/30/2011 and go ahead and do a find all. And notice it brings it down here at the bottom, the week1.xls was the name of the file. The sheet is customer that I'm on currently, and it's the cell reference E5 right here, absolute reference, and then the value. So that's a powerful tool if you're looking for to find items within a worksheet or workbook. Spell checker is just that. It'll spell check your worksheet against the dictionary and Word. And then the different views you have within a workbook is a normal, page layout, and page break preview. And to do this, at the bottom right, it gives you those three areas to choose. So let's go ahead and go there to Excel and look at that. Right now I'm in normal. Here's page layout. You'll notice on the page layout, it actually gives a snapshot of what it would look like upon printing this document. And then finally, page break. Page break preview basically gives what this would look like with the data only. Go back to the normal view now. So next is portrait or landscape orientation. By default, an Excel workbook will be in portrait, but you can change it to orientation if need be. If you have, for instance, numeric values on the left and possibly a chart on the right. Page layout tab, orientation, allows you to do that. So again, page layout, change it to landscape, and I'll go to the page layout to show you the difference here. In fact, the easiest way to show you is file, print preview. I want to look at that. There we go. There's a landscape view. I'll change it back to the portrait. Do a file print and notice the difference on the layout. Printing a workbook. Today, most offices do rely upon email to send electronically, but there is 3 ways to print a workbook. You can print by going to the open print dialog box, which you specify the printer, the settings, how many number of copies you want to print. You can also do a quick print using print options already in the print dialog. And finally, you can preview it before, which is the way I recommend you print. And so Control P also is a shortcut key to allow you to bring up the print menu. Control P, then you can change the copies, the printer you're attached to, how many sheets you want it to be printed out to, what kind of page size. By default, it's going to be 8.5 by 11. And then also scaling too. You can scale a worksheet or workbook with multiple worksheets to fit all on one page, which would shove all the numbers into one page, which can be really hard to read sometimes, but might be helpful on a snapshot view of something. You also have in the viewing and printing worksheet formulas, you can view the formula in a workbook by switching to formula view, and the view of the workbook contents displays the formula instead of the results. To change a worksheet to formula view, you can press the Control plus key. So the Control plus key will allow you to view this in different views, or you can go up here to the view menu here as well and look at it within that view. So right now we're in normal view only, and then formula view. Okay, so that concludes week 1 on Excel 2007-2010. One thing to note, if you're using 2007, you will see the Office icon in place of the File menu here. Now, starting this week 2, when you come to class, make sure you have read the next portion. You can look into week 2 folder and what needs to be read, tutorial 2, and go over that prior to class will be helpful. See you Wednesday.